In the grim darkness of the far future, legends are forged on battlefields soaked in blood and ambition, where every clash between brute force and cunning strategy sends ripples across an unforgiving universe. Orruk Brutes, Too Tough to Die, invites you to step into a realm where myth and metal converge, a universe where colossal warriors, hardened by unyielding conflict, defy both time and fate. This narrative is not just about an unstoppable force. It is an exploration into the very essence of survival, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of glory amid chaos. Before delving into the heart of this saga, it is essential to grasp the atmosphere that defines the Warhammer universe, a world of eternal warfare, ancient grudges, and ever-shifting allegiances. Here, the boundaries between honor and savagery blur, and legends are as common as the scars borne by those who dare to challenge destiny. In such a setting, every combatant, every warband, and every merciless clash contributes to a grand tapestry of valor and violence that stretches back millennia. At the core of our narrative lies a question as old as war itself. What does it mean to be truly indestructible? The title, Too Tough to Die, hints at a paradox that permeates the very soul of these warriors. They are not simply creatures of muscle and might. They are embodiments of an undying spirit that mocks the very notion of mortality. Their tale is one of constant defiance, a ceaseless battle against the forces of decay and defeat, a struggle to rewrite the grim fate that seems predetermined by the stars. This prologue sets the stage by offering a glimpse into a universe where every echo of clashing steel and every roar of battle is steeped in history and mystery. The narrative will soon unfurl a rich tapestry of conflict, showcasing a multitude of perspectives that each contribute to the legend of the Orruk Brutes. Yet, for now, we simply stand at the precipice of discovery, inviting you to peer into the abyss of war, where destiny is contested and survival is an art perfected through relentless struggle. In the forthcoming chapters, we will navigate through a landscape defined by extremes, a world where the boundaries of civilization and savagery are constantly redrawn. The story that follows will illuminate the pivotal roles played by both mighty heroes and notorious villains, each with their own agendas, alliances, and deep-seated motivations. We will traverse epics marked by cataclysmic battles and subtle power shifts, each event leaving an indelible mark on the intricate mosaic of this universe. For now, our focus remains on setting the scene. Picture vast, barren battlefields littered with the remnants of once proud armies, colossal fortresses that have withstood the test of time, and warlords whose mere presence commands fear and respect. This is a world where the echoes of ancient prophecies and the harsh realities of modern warfare converge. The Orruk Brutes, central to our tale, are but one piece of this sprawling epic, a force both feared and revered, emblematic of the eternal conflict between creation and destruction. In this prologue, we refrain from delving into the particulars of the factions, the identities of the key players, or the intricate mechanics of their warfare. Instead, we invite you to immerse yourself in the mood of anticipation, a prelude that hints at the ferocity, complexity, and enigmatic allure that await in the chapters to come. The legend of the Orruk Brutes is not merely a recounting of battles fought and victories won. It is an exploration into the very nature of existence in a realm where might often dictates right, and where every scar tells a story of survival against insurmountable odds. As you journey deeper into this saga, prepare to encounter a world where the resilient spirit of warriors is celebrated, and where the line between life and death is perpetually contested. The narrative ahead is a homage to the enduring might of those who refuse to succumb, a reminder that in the Warhammer universe, even the most unyielding forces are woven into a story of struggle, sacrifice, and the relentless quest for immortality. Welcome to a universe where the echoes of war are eternal, and where the question, too tough to die, challenges us to reconsider what it truly means to be indomitable. The central figures in this saga are defined by a spectrum of forces whose very essence shapes the narrative. At the heart of the conflict stand the monstrous warriors renowned for their raw power and unyielding nature. These beings serve as the spearhead of relentless assaults, their physical might and brutal instinct positioning them as living embodiments of devastation. They are the shock troops whose survival against overwhelming odds has become a rallying cry for both allies and adversaries alike. Their reputation is built on an unspoken code of ferocity, a testament to their capacity to endure wounds that would fell lesser fighters. Complementing this cadre of fierce combatants are the warlords who command with an iron will. These leaders are not merely figureheads. They possess an innate aptitude for strategy and intimidation. Rising through ranks defined by constant strife, they exhibit a commanding presence that binds their followers together in a unified, if brutal, purpose. Their decisions, though often ruthless, are driven by an instinct to secure dominance on the battlefield. They galvanize the masses, instilling in their cohorts a shared belief in the inevitability of their triumph, a conviction that renders them almost impervious to setbacks. Their leadership is marked by a blend of raw charisma and uncompromising resolve, ensuring that the might of their forces is channeled with lethal efficiency. Intertwined with these formidable leaders is an array of smaller groups whose collective actions amplify the overall impact of the force. These subgroups, often operating with a degree of autonomy, contribute specialized skills and unique combat approaches that diversify the capabilities of the collective. While they may not command the same attention as the main warriors or their commanders, their contributions are indispensable. They act as the cogs in a relentless machine, filling in tactical gaps and ensuring that every facet of the offensive is executed with precision. Their presence underscores a communal reliance on both individual prowess and group cohesion, a duality that defines their collective identity. In parallel, there exists a contingent of innovators and improvised engineers whose resourcefulness defies conventional expectations. In a universe where traditional means of warfare are often rendered obsolete by the sheer force of nature, these individuals have carved out a niche as purveyors of unconventional armaments and makeshift technology. Their work involves repurposing available materials into effective weapons and defenses, ensuring that even in the absence of high technology, the force remains unpredictable and versatile. Their contributions are crucial in maintaining a dynamic edge on the battlefield, where adaptability can determine the outcome of any encounter. They embody the spirit of ingenuity born out of necessity, crafting solutions that defy expectations and enhance the combat effectiveness of their comrades. Opposing this overwhelming tide are the organized contingents representing established orders and institutional might. These adversaries, though fundamentally different in philosophy and structure, are drawn into the conflict by their own commitments to order and survival. They rely on disciplined formations, coordinated tactics, and an adherence to time-tested military doctrines. Their presence on the field is marked by a stark contrast to the raw, unfiltered aggression of their foes. Instead of brute force alone, they harness the power of strategy and technology to counterbalance the ferocity they face. Their role is one of containment and resistance, a structured opposition that seeks to rein in the chaos unleashed by the marauding force. Also notable among the key players are the mercenary factions and opportunistic warlords whose allegiances are as fluid as they are unpredictable. These groups are driven primarily by self-interest and the pursuit of advantage, often aligning themselves with whichever side promises the greatest benefit at any given moment. Their involvement adds a layer of complexity to the ongoing struggle, as their shifting loyalties introduce an element of uncertainty that can rapidly alter the balance of power. Though their motivations may appear less noble compared to the ideological fervor of the larger factions, their actions are nonetheless pivotal. They serve as a reminder that in this turbulent landscape, survival is often contingent upon one's ability to adapt and seize fleeting opportunities. Finally, there is a class of veteran tacticians whose experiences and hard-won knowledge have been forged in countless engagements. These individuals act as custodians of battlefield lore, their insights into combat dynamics lending an air of sagacity to their roles. Though they may not command the sheer physical presence of their more imposing counterparts, their strategic acumen is vital in orchestrating defenses and launching calculated counterattacks. Their contributions highlight the interplay between experience and raw power, a delicate balance that can shift the tide of conflict in unexpected ways. Together, these diverse groups compose a multifaceted ensemble whose roles, though distinct, converge to create a tapestry of conflict that is as intricate as it is brutal. Each participant, whether driven by unyielding ferocity, disciplined strategy, or opportunistic ambition, plays a part in a broader narrative where the boundaries of might and survival are constantly contested. Their individual and collective contributions set the stage for a saga that transcends simple categorizations, embodying a dynamic struggle where every act of violence and every moment of strategic brilliance reverberates across a universe defined by perpetual warfare. The events that led to this phenomenon unfolded over a prolonged period marked by incremental shifts in power dynamics, societal evolution, and technological experimentation. A tapestry of competing ambitions and historical grudges interwove, setting the stage for a transformation that redefined the rules of conflict. The preceding years saw long-standing rivalries intensify as groups vied for control over dwindling resources and coveted territories. As traditional power structures began to show signs of strain under persistent pressure, an undercurrent of change rippled through the established order. In numerous regions, territorial disputes escalated into localized confrontations that gradually eroded the boundaries of conventional warfare. The drive to secure strategic advantages in these contested areas forced factions to rethink their approach to combat, fostering a climate where experimentation with tactics and weaponry became increasingly common. In a context where established doctrines were proving insufficient, innovative combat methods began to take root, transforming once predictable battles into arenas of unexpected ferocity. This gradual evolution was spurred by the realization that brute strength alone could not guarantee survival when the environment itself was changing with each encounter. At the same time, the prolonged pressure on traditional institutions catalyzed internal reforms that challenged old hierarchies and paved the way for new forms of martial expression. As authority figures struggled to maintain control over a fracturing system, a renewed focus on personal valor and the pursuit of enduring might emerged. The prevailing sentiment was that survival depended not solely on strategic finesse, but on the sheer will to persist against all odds. In this atmosphere, a distinct philosophy took hold, one that celebrated the relentless capacity to withstand adversity, even as the established norms of combat were being reimagined. Economic and environmental factors further contributed to the mounting tension. With resources increasingly scarce, the competition for food, water, and raw materials intensified conflicts that had once simmered beneath the surface. Regions once characterized by stable supply lines found themselves destabilized by sudden shifts in availability, igniting clashes that demanded immediate and drastic responses. This scarcity drove factions to innovate rapidly, leading to the creation of unconventional methods designed to maximize efficiency in both offense and defense. The need to adapt to harsh conditions forced these groups to experiment with improvised techniques and unconventional weaponry, which in turn influenced the overall style of warfare that was emerging across the conflict zones. Cultural transformation also played a significant role in shaping the prelude to these events. As communities faced continuous hardship, the collective psyche began to revere attributes once considered secondary. The celebration of unwavering determination and an almost superhuman level of endurance became intertwined with the identity of those who fought on the front lines. Over time, tales of extraordinary resilience spread among the populace, fostering an environment where defiance against inevitable decay was not only expected, but idolized. This cultural shift contributed to a growing belief that survival was possible through sheer persistence, a notion that resonated deeply within societies burdened by relentless strife. The interplay of these factors was further compounded by shifts in communication and the exchange of ideas. As information flowed more freely across distant regions, innovations and strategic insights disseminated quickly, allowing disparate groups to adopt new practices and philosophies. This rapid spread of knowledge accelerated the transformation of warfare, ensuring that the changes taking place in one locale reverberated across a wider arena. The cumulative impact of these exchanges was a steadily increasing momentum toward a new form of combat, one that was defined not by transient victories, but by an enduring capacity to resist defeat. Simultaneously, the gradual disintegration of once cohesive alliances and the emergence of opportunistic pacts altered the landscape of conflict. Long-held allegiances dissolved as factions recalibrated their priorities in response to the shifting balance of power. The result was a fluid environment where loyalties were frequently tested and reformed, and where the pursuit of survival often necessitated a departure from traditional bonds. This volatility not only heightened the unpredictability of confrontations, but also underscored the necessity for every group to adopt a mindset of perpetual readiness, a recognition that the future belonged to those who could adapt to ever-changing circumstances. The culmination of these developments was not a singular cataclysmic event, but a series of interrelated occurrences that collectively redefined what it meant to endure. Each incremental change, from resource-driven conflicts to the revaluation of cultural ideals and the rapid exchange of tactical innovations, served to dismantle the old order and usher in a new era of warfare. In this evolving landscape, the capacity to absorb and overcome staggering losses became a coveted quality, setting the stage for a martial tradition that prized durability and resilience above all else. This multifaceted progression, marked by both gradual adaptation and sudden leaps in strategy, laid the groundwork for a conflict that would forever challenge preconceived notions of mortality and defeat. The steady accumulation of pressures, innovations, and ideological shifts forged a context in which the very idea of being impervious to the ravages of battle took on new meaning. It was within this crucible of transformation that a legacy was born, a legacy defined by an enduring, almost mythic resistance to the forces that sought to bring everything to ruin. The progression of events unfolded in distinct phases that gradually reshaped the entire conflict landscape. Initially, isolated skirmishes erupted along disputed boundaries, setting off a series of localized clashes that hinted at the underlying transformation. In these early days, disparate groups found themselves drawn into a common struggle, their engagements marked by impromptu alliances and rapid tactical adjustments. Although these first encounters appeared sporadic and uncoordinated, they laid the foundation for a larger, more organized movement that would soon come into being. As these minor confrontations evolved, a new stage emerged defined by the consolidation of forces and the forging of temporary coalitions. Leaders and strategists, recognizing the potential for sustained conflict, began to rally warriors around shared objectives. This period saw the formation of structured warbands that gradually integrated specialized units into a cohesive whole. Rather than relying solely on raw aggression, these formations started to experiment with coordinated maneuvers that would become central to their approach. The integration of disparate elements into unified fronts marked a departure from previous chaos, giving rise to a more systematic method of engagement that reflected both adaptability and determination. Following the consolidation phase, the conflict experienced an escalation characterized by a shift in the scale and intensity of operations. Larger, coordinated offensives were launched, and battles grew in both duration and ferocity. The rapid pace of change during this interval saw the implementation of new strategies as combatants sought innovative ways to leverage their strengths against formidable opposition. Tactical doctrines were refined through trial and error, with each engagement contributing to an evolving playbook that prioritized resilience and the ability to recover from staggering losses. In this period, the raw momentum of the initial skirmishes was transformed into a sustained campaign marked by prolonged engagements and strategic depth. With the conflict intensifying, a phase of diversification unfolded, where operational theaters expanded and varied dramatically. New fronts emerged in unexpected locations, driven by shifting ambitions and the redistribution of resources. The expansion into additional regions introduced a variety of environmental challenges and logistical hurdles, forcing commanders to tailor their tactics to local conditions. This period was characterized by the simultaneous execution of multiple campaigns, each adapting to its unique circumstances while contributing to a broader strategic vision. The diversity in combat scenarios not only tested the adaptability of the fighters, but also spurred a continuous cycle of innovation as each encounter offered fresh insights into effective survival and dominance on the battlefield. As the conflict matured, the sustained pressure led to the emergence of prolonged sieges and attritional battles that tested the endurance of all involved. This stage was marked by a shift from rapid, decisive actions to long-term engagements that gradually wore down both the infrastructure and the spirit of the combatants. Extended periods of siege warfare and trench-style confrontations underscored a growing commitment to outlasting the enemy rather than achieving quick, tactical victories. In these drawn-out struggles, the ability to absorb losses and maintain operational capability became paramount. Every minor victory was hard-won and contributed incrementally to a broader narrative of relentless persistence and survival against overwhelming odds. The progression then advanced into a phase where the initial fervor of conquest began to give way to strategic repositioning. As the conflict endured, the accumulation of experience and battlefield data prompted a series of recalibrations in both tactics and resource allocation. Commanders, having learned from the successes and failures of previous stages, embarked on a course correction aimed at optimizing the balance between offensive power and defensive resilience. This period of reorganization was crucial in ensuring that the forces remained effective despite the increasing complexity of the battlefield. Adjustments in supply lines, the adoption of novel communication methods, and the integration of unconventional warfare techniques all contributed to a renewed sense of purpose that sustained the momentum of the campaign. In the later stages of this evolving struggle, a subtle but undeniable transformation took hold, one that redefined the very essence of endurance. The prolonged nature of the conflict had over time instilled an unyielding resolve among the combatants, driving them to continuously adapt and reinvent their methods of engagement. Battles became a testing ground for the limits of persistence, where each setback was met with a reinvigorated determination to persist. This phase was not marked by dramatic reversals or singular acts of heroism, but rather by a steady accumulation of incremental gains that collectively reinforced the notion of near immortality on the battlefield. Throughout these stages, the development of the conflict was marked by a series of interwoven operational shifts that ultimately culminated in a state of seemingly boundless resilience. Each phase contributed uniquely to a transformation that was both tactical and existential, a metamorphosis in the approach to combat that celebrated survival and adaptation above all else. The continuous interplay between consolidation, escalation, diversification, attrition, and strategic realignment forged a legacy that redefined the parameters of endurance. In this relentless pursuit of survival, every engagement and every tactical adjustment played a part in shaping an environment where the very idea of defeat was constantly challenged and reinterpreted. A singular moment emerged amid the chaos, a decision that not only redirected the entire course of the conflict, but also crystallized a philosophy that had long simmered beneath the surface. In the midst of a sprawling encampment, where the air was thick with anticipation and the residue of countless battles, a high-level assembly gathered in secrecy. This conclave, held far from prying eyes and calculated to be a turning point in the struggle, brought together the top strategists and influential leaders. They met not in an open arena of combat, but in a dimly lit chamber where every word carried the weight of irrevocable change. During these tense hours, the atmosphere was charged with a palpable sense of urgency. The participants, whose identities spanned the spectrum of militant thought, were united by one undeniable reality: the need to innovate in the face of ever-escalating adversity. As the discussion unfolded, the focus shifted to a singular, bold decision, a pivot away from established routines towards an untested method of engagement that promised to enhance the already formidable resilience of their forces. The crux of the decision was to reconfigure the operational mindset that had long defined their approach. For years, the prevailing belief had been that sheer physicality and unyielding force were sufficient to overcome any setback. Yet, mounting evidence from the relentless battles had begun to challenge this notion. Casualties were mounting, and even the most hardened warriors were showing signs of strain. This stark reality ignited a debate that would lead to the abandonment of time-honored strategies in favor of a paradigm that celebrated adaptability and calculated risk-taking. At the heart of the debate lay a proposal to integrate a radical new doctrine, one that combined elements of guerrilla tactics with a systematic exploitation of battlefield intelligence. Rather than relying solely on overwhelming strength, the new approach emphasized the orchestration of rapid, coordinated strikes that leveraged the environment, sowed confusion among adversaries, and allowed for rapid withdrawal when necessary. The idea was not merely to fight harder, but to fight smarter, turning every engagement into an opportunity to learn, adapt, and emerge stronger. This shift in mindset was aimed at transforming the very nature of the conflict from a test of endurance into a dynamic contest of wits and willpower. The decision was not reached lightly. Heated exchanges filled the chamber as veterans recounted previous encounters where conventional methods had faltered. They examined case studies of failed offensives and scrutinized the patterns that had led to unsustainable losses. In these discussions, every dissenting voice was met with a counter-argument that stressed the necessity of evolution. Proponents of the new doctrine argued that survival depended on embracing a fluid strategy, one that could pivot on a moment's notice and exploit the vulnerabilities of an enemy that had grown complacent in its own rigidity. After hours of impassioned debate, a consensus began to crystallize around the bold initiative. The assembly agreed that clinging to outdated tactics, despite their storied pasts, would only serve to hasten the inevitable decline. Instead, the decision was made to implement a series of experimental maneuvers that could be rapidly adjusted based on real-time battlefield feedback. This included the establishment of specialized task groups whose sole mission was to infiltrate enemy lines, gather crucial intelligence, and then strike with precision before vanishing back into the chaos. In tandem, a new system of communication and command was devised to ensure that these operations could be coordinated seamlessly across diverse operational theaters. What set this moment apart was not simply the technical innovation it entailed, but the psychological shift it inspired. The decision signaled a definitive break from a past steeped in the valorization of brute force. It embraced the notion that even the most indomitable warriors could benefit from strategic vulnerability, a temporary willingness to cede control in order to secure a decisive advantage later. This acceptance of calculated risk was transformative. It injected a sense of renewed purpose and hope into a force that had long been defined by its unwavering physical presence. Warriors who had been seen as inexorable machines of destruction now became tacticians in their own right, capable of orchestrating surprise attacks and executing complex retreats with precision. In the immediate aftermath of the decision, the new doctrine was put to the test in a series of controlled engagements designed to refine its practical applications. These initial forays into uncharted tactical territory yielded promising results, with rapid, decisive actions that confounded established adversaries and disrupted their expectations. The success of these early operations served as a powerful validation of the chosen course, reinforcing the belief that a reimagined approach could indeed unlock new dimensions of combat effectiveness. This turning point not only redefined the strategic framework of the conflict, but also left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of the fighters. It transformed the narrative from one of inevitable decline to one of relentless reinvention, a testament to the idea that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there exists the capacity to adapt and overcome. The decision resonated beyond the immediate tactical benefits, evolving into a symbol of defiance against the constraints of conventional warfare. It was a declaration that survival was not merely a product of enduring punishment, but a dynamic process of continual evolution. In the end, this singular decision became the fulcrum upon which the balance of power shifted. It underscored the potential for reinvention in the midst of relentless conflict, providing a blueprint for future engagements that would forever alter the art of warfare. By embracing a strategy that married intelligence with audacity, the leaders redefined what it meant to be truly unyielding, a force capable not only of withstanding the ravages of battle, but of reshaping its very destiny. In the wake of the transformative decision, the cosmos felt an immediate shift that reverberated through every stratum of existence. A sudden recalibration of military doctrine and operational tactics sent shockwaves far beyond the confines of battlefields, affecting not only the structure of armed forces, but also the very fabric of societal organization. The ripple effect was evident in the rapid reordering of power, as factions that had once adhered to conventional methods were compelled to either adapt or falter. This swift alteration in strategy brought an air of uncertainty and possibility, causing ripples that extended to distant territories and even reshaped political allegiances in unexpected ways. Across sprawling urban centers and remote outposts alike, the news of the new tactical paradigm spread like wildfire. Communities accustomed to a steady rhythm of conflict found themselves facing an abrupt departure from the familiar, a paradigm that did not merely emphasize brute strength, but also heralded a cunning blend of agility and intellect. The impact was both immediate and tangible. Commanders on the front lines began implementing experimental maneuvers that disrupted the established order. Reports emerged of skirmishes that defied previous expectations, where sudden bursts of coordinated action and rapid repositioning left adversaries reeling. These early demonstrations of the new approach proved so effective that rival groups hastily sought to incorporate similar methods, sparking a competitive evolution that accelerated the pace of innovation in warfare. The immediate consequence of these developments was a palpable shift in the collective psyche of both fighters and onlookers. The belief that survival depended solely on relentless endurance gave way to a more dynamic outlook, one that embraced fluidity, calculated risks, and the power of adaptability. Soldiers and strategists alike began to view setbacks not as inevitable defeats, but as temporary obstacles that could be overcome with the right combination of speed, stealth, and tactical foresight. This newfound mindset fostered an environment of rapid learning and continuous improvement, where each engagement served as a live experiment in the art of survival. The instant impact was a surge in morale among those who had long felt the weight of attrition. A renewed sense of purpose infused the ranks as they witnessed firsthand that their capacity to reinvent their approach could tilt the scales of battle in their favor. In regions previously dominated by a reliance on overwhelming force, local leaders and influential figures quickly recognized that a rigid adherence to outdated tactics would no longer suffice. The immediate effect was a restructuring of local command hierarchies, with decision-making processes evolving to prioritize decentralized, agile responses over centralized control. This reorganization was not without its challenges. Entrenched systems that had governed conflict for generations found themselves disrupted by the rapid pace of change. However, the urgency of the situation fostered an atmosphere in which experimentation was not only accepted, but actively encouraged. Field units that once operated under strict orders now found themselves empowered to improvise and make real-time decisions, a shift that precipitated a wave of unconventional but effective maneuvers that reverberated across combat zones. The transformation extended well beyond the immediate theaters of engagement. Strategic communication networks, which had traditionally conveyed orders in a top-down fashion, were overhauled to support rapid feedback loops and real-time coordination. These new channels allowed for the swift dissemination of lessons learned from the front lines, enabling disparate units to share insights and adjust tactics with unprecedented speed. The immediate impact on the broader operational environment was profound. What had once been a slow and cumbersome process of bureaucratic decision-making was replaced by an agile, responsive system that could pivot on a moment's notice. This reformed communication structure not only facilitated the implementation of innovative strategies, but also acted as a catalyst for further reform across the military and political spectrum. Culturally, the ripple effect of the change was equally significant. Societies that had long been defined by a rigid dichotomy between might and vulnerability were forced to reconsider the nature of resilience. Traditional narratives of valor, centered solely on physical invincibility, were replaced by stories that celebrated ingenuity and tactical acumen. The immediate impact was a cultural renaissance among those who had borne the scars of endless conflict. Literature, art, and folklore began to reflect a more nuanced understanding of survival, one that recognized the value of both strength and adaptability. This shift in perspective permeated not only the ranks of the fighters, but also the civilian populations who had long lived in the shadow of perpetual warfare. The collective imagination was ignited by the realization that the limits of endurance were not fixed, and that even the most hardened warriors could reinvent themselves in the face of overwhelming odds. Moreover, the decision instigated a swift realignment of external alliances and rivalries. Neighboring powers, observing the rapid changes from afar, scrambled to adjust their own strategies. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity as new coalitions formed and old alliances were re-evaluated. The immediate impact on the geopolitical landscape was evident in the sudden shifts in trade, resource allocation, and even cultural exchanges among regions that had once been isolated by their adherence to conventional doctrines. In this rapidly evolving environment, every faction, whether driven by a desire to capitalize on the new methods or by a need to defend against them, was forced to re-examine its place in the broader cosmic order. In essence, the immediate repercussions of this transformative decision were far-reaching and multifaceted. They touched every aspect of the universe, from the tactical and operational to the cultural and political. The shockwaves of change resonated not just on the battlefield, but also in the hearts and minds of those who had long believed that their fate was sealed by unyielding tradition. In this new era, the boundaries of possibility expanded, and the very nature of endurance was redefined in a way that promised to leave an indelible mark on the annals of history. The discussion surrounding the resilience and near immortality of these warriors has given rise to a rich tapestry of theories and imaginative interpretations that continue to captivate the fan community. One of the most compelling aspects is the almost mythic quality attributed to their seemingly unending capacity to endure. Fans often debate whether this indestructibility is purely a product of their extraordinary physicality, or if it hints at a deeper, almost supernatural mechanism that defies conventional logic. The notion that these fighters can absorb damage that would decimate ordinary opponents has become a cornerstone of their legend, inspiring countless discussions about the balance between brute force and an almost mystical regeneration. A frequently explored topic in fan circles is the possibility of hidden fortifications within their biology, an innate ability to recover from injuries at an alarming pace. Some enthusiasts suggest that this resilience might be due to a complex network of internal systems designed to repair tissue and bone, while others lean towards a more esoteric explanation involving a latent connection to ancient rites or long-forgotten technologies. This blend of science and myth fuels heated debates and creative fan theories, with many speculating that these warriors may possess an internal rhythm or energy that reconstitutes their bodies in the midst of battle. Such ideas have spurred artwork, fan fiction, and even detailed breakdowns of how these processes might work in a universe where nothing is as it seems. Equally intriguing is the cultural dimension of their reputation. The portrayal of these fighters as embodiments of sheer persistence has given rise to a distinct aesthetic that celebrates the raw, unyielding spirit of survival. Fans revel in the visual storytelling associated with these warriors, images of hulking figures scarred by countless battles, their armor a patchwork of salvaged relics and battle-worn trophies. This iconic look not only reinforces their image as unstoppable forces, but also serves as a canvas for artistic reinterpretation. The melding of brutal practicality with an almost ritualistic reverence for combat has become a subject of admiration and endless reinterpretation in fan-made models, paintings, and digital art, each piece contributing to a collective mythos that transcends the boundaries of the original lore. Another aspect that garners significant attention is the tactical ingenuity often attributed to these warriors. Despite their reputation for relying on overwhelming physical strength, many fans argue that there is a hidden layer of strategic depth underlying their actions on the battlefield. Detailed analyses of recorded encounters have led to discussions about how these fighters might employ unconventional maneuvers, striking unexpectedly or regrouping with astonishing speed, even after suffering severe setbacks. This perceived duality, a fusion of raw power with a cunning adaptability, has transformed them from mere brutes into subjects of strategic fascination. Debates continue over whether their tactics are instinctual or the result of an unspoken collective wisdom passed down through generations of warfare. Moreover, the interplay between their fearsome presence and the lore of their origins has sparked a wealth of speculative narratives. Many fans explore the idea that their legendary toughness is not merely a consequence of physical conditioning, but also a reflection of a deep-seated cultural imperative to never yield. This ethos of indomitability has been woven into numerous fan interpretations of their society, where honor is measured by one's ability to rise again after defeat, and every scar is seen as a testament to a life lived in the crucible of conflict. In this light, their endurance becomes both a physical and a symbolic emblem of resistance, a message that resonates deeply with those who admire the relentless pursuit of survival against insurmountable odds. Discussions also extend to the influence these warriors have on the broader narrative of the universe they inhabit. Their reputation for being nearly impossible to defeat has led some to speculate that their presence on the battlefield might alter the very course of events, acting as a stabilizing force in an otherwise chaotic environment. This idea has fueled conversations about the role of resilience in shaping destiny, with some fans proposing that the mere existence of such unstoppable combatants challenges the natural order and forces other factions to rethink their strategies. In this context, the legend of these fighters becomes a catalyst for broader change, a living reminder that the relentless drive to survive can upend even the most entrenched systems of power. The blend of physical prowess, tactical acumen, and cultural symbolism has made these warriors a perennial subject of fascination. Their image is not confined to the battlefield, but spills over into discussions about identity, survival, and the very nature of what it means to be invincible. This multifaceted appeal is what keeps the debates fresh and dynamic, ensuring that every new theory, artwork, or narrative addition contributes another layer to an already intricate tapestry. For many, the discussion is less about a single explanation and more about the endless possibilities that arise when tradition meets the unexpected, a dialogue that celebrates both the mystery and the undeniable impact of these seemingly unstoppable fighters. In the midst of a conflict defined by relentless endurance and shifting tactics, a number of extraordinary individuals have emerged as icons whose personal qualities and ambitions have left a lasting imprint on the narrative. These figures, each uniquely characterized by their determination, resourcefulness, and complex inner lives, provide a window into the multifaceted nature of survival and leadership within the relentless struggle. Their stories are not merely accounts of physical prowess, but are also narratives of ambition, resilience, and vulnerability, a tapestry of personalities that together illuminate what it truly means to be nearly indestructible. One such individual is a seasoned veteran whose presence commands respect on the battlefield. Known for an unyielding spirit forged through countless encounters, this warrior has built a reputation as a living embodiment of endurance. His approach is characterized by a blend of unrestrained aggression and a careful, almost instinctive awareness of his surroundings. He is renowned for his ability to recover from debilitating injuries and return to the fray with renewed vigor, a quality that has become the subject of many discussions among fans. Despite his formidable strength and tactical instincts, he is not without flaws. His single-minded focus on survival sometimes leaves him vulnerable to ambushes that exploit his reluctance to deviate from the battlefield's familiar rhythm. Yet even in moments of temporary hesitation, his determination to continue fighting serves as an inspiration to those who have come to see his scars as badges of honor rather than marks of defeat. Another noteworthy figure is an innovative tactician who has managed to combine an intuitive grasp of battlefield dynamics with an unorthodox strategic mind. This individual has gained renown for devising unexpected maneuvers that often catch opponents off guard. His methods, though sometimes controversial, have opened new avenues of thought in the community, sparking debates over whether his innovations stem from deep-seated ingenuity or a desperate need to outpace increasingly unpredictable enemy tactics. His strengths lie in his ability to reconfigure traditional strategies into fluid, adaptive responses. However, his reliance on improvisation and spontaneous decision-making occasionally leads to overextension, as calculated risks sometimes backfire. This vulnerability has made him both a celebrated innovator and a cautionary tale, a reminder that even brilliant minds are not immune to the caprices of war. A third personality stands out for his quiet, steadfast nature, contrasting sharply with the more flamboyant displays of courage that often define his peers. Esteemed for his reliability, he is the kind of leader who prefers measured, deliberate actions over rash assaults. His focus is on sustaining his forces over the long haul, employing methods that emphasize endurance and consistency rather than rapid, explosive maneuvers. His strength lies in his capacity to maintain cohesion under prolonged pressure, ensuring that his unit remains a stable force even when the battlefield teeters on the brink of chaos. Nevertheless, his conservative approach has its critics. Some argue that his reluctance to take bold risks has, at times, led to missed opportunities. This tension between cautious persistence and the need for decisive action has become a recurring subject of analysis among enthusiasts, who see in him the embodiment of a slow-burning but unyielding resolve. Yet another prominent figure in this saga is a charismatic leader whose magnetic personality has drawn a wide array of followers from diverse backgrounds. His allure is not solely based on his combat skills, but rather on his ability to articulate a vision that transcends the immediate concerns of warfare. His rhetoric emphasizes honor, unity, and the relentless pursuit of an ideal that promises redemption through continuous struggle. This leader has managed to inspire loyalty through both his actions and his words, transforming his personal narrative into a rallying point for a larger collective spirit. However, the intensity of his ambition can sometimes manifest as an uncompromising stance that alienates potential allies. His drive to achieve greatness occasionally borders on hubris, and moments of overconfidence have led to strategic miscalculations that serve as stark reminders of the perils of unbridled ambition. Fans and critics alike continue to dissect his decisions, pondering whether his unwavering belief in his destiny is a source of strength or a fatal flaw. In contrast to the larger-than-life figures, there exists a smaller but equally significant group of individuals whose contributions have been more subtle yet profoundly influential. Among them are advisors and mentors who, though not always in the forefront of combat, have shaped the philosophy and tactical evolution of their communities. These figures are often characterized by their deep knowledge of history and a nuanced understanding of both ancient traditions and modern innovations. Their counsel has helped refine the art of war into a discipline that values learning from past defeats as much as celebrating victories. Their wisdom lies in the ability to balance audacity with prudence, a trait that has saved many from the brink of despair. However, their inclination toward reflection and measured responses can sometimes slow down the rapid pace of battlefield adjustments, leaving their protégés vulnerable in situations that demand immediate, decisive action. Their dual legacy of mentorship and strategic oversight continues to influence emerging generations of warriors, embedding a sense of continuity that both honors tradition and embraces change. The spectrum of outstanding personalities extends further to include individuals whose personal struggles and internal conflicts have become emblematic of the broader existential challenges faced by their kind. One such figure is a warrior burdened by a tragic past, whose personal losses have hardened him to the point where emotional resilience is as critical as physical endurance. His journey is one of constant internal battle, a struggle to reconcile the desire for vengeance with the need to preserve what remains of his humanity. His tactical brilliance is matched only by the depth of his introspection, creating a paradoxical blend of ruthless determination and profound sensitivity. While his resolve to never succumb to defeat is admired, it is precisely this obsession that sometimes blinds him to the changing currents of the conflict. His story, fraught with moments of overwhelming sorrow and fierce retribution, continues to resonate deeply within the community, offering a poignant reminder that even those who seem impervious to defeat carry wounds that no amount of physical toughness can conceal. These exceptional individuals, with their distinct qualities, serve as living testaments to the complexity of a struggle that defies simple categorization. Their strengths, ranging from raw physical power and innovative tactics to enduring leadership and quiet resolve, are tempered by vulnerabilities that humanize their larger-than-life reputations. Their goals vary from seeking personal redemption and enacting transformative change to simply enduring the relentless onslaught of conflict. In doing so, they exemplify a broader narrative that celebrates not only the capacity to withstand adversity, but also the profound imperfections that make each warrior uniquely compelling. Their stories, rich with both triumph and tribulation, continue to fuel passionate discussions within the community, inspiring debates over the true nature of resilience and the cost of an existence defined by perpetual combat. There remains a wealth of unanswered questions and speculative theories surrounding the legendary durability of these warriors, and discussions continue to rage among enthusiasts. One of the most debated mysteries is the precise nature of their regenerative capacity. While some argue that their ability to recover from devastating wounds stems from an intricate biological system evolved over generations, others propose that a hidden, perhaps mystical mechanism underpins this phenomenon. Fans have long pondered whether an esoteric energy source, perhaps linked to ancient rites or forgotten rituals, infuses these fighters with a near-supernatural capacity to withstand and mend injuries that would incapacitate any ordinary combatant. Another unresolved issue concerns the origins of the almost mythical fortitude these warriors display. Some theorists maintain that their reputation is the product of a gradual, adaptive process that refined their resilience over countless battles. Yet, others are convinced that a radical transformation occurred at a pivotal moment in their history, a singular event or series of events that altered their fundamental nature. This perspective raises intriguing questions about the interplay between evolution, deliberate intervention, and the influence of external forces. Could it be that a long-lost experiment or forbidden technology was instrumental in endowing them with a seemingly limitless endurance? Or perhaps there exists an ancient covenant that binds them to an unwavering fate of perpetual combat, the details of which remain shrouded in mystery. Equally captivating is the discussion regarding the psychological dimension of their persistence. Numerous debates have emerged over whether their relentless drive to survive is rooted in an indomitable spirit alone, or if it is amplified by a collective consciousness that transcends individual experience. Some enthusiasts suggest that their unyielding nature is reinforced by a shared mental framework, a cultural or even subconscious belief system that imbues them with the confidence to defy death time and again. This theory posits that the act of fighting and enduring has itself become a self-perpetuating force, where each display of resilience further cements their reputation, making them almost immune to despair or defeat. Critics of this view argue that such ideas verge on the metaphysical, leaving room for endless conjecture without tangible evidence. There is also considerable speculation regarding the potential costs of this extraordinary durability. While their capacity to survive immense hardships is celebrated, some voices in the community wonder whether there is an underlying price to pay. Could it be that their unyielding state is maintained at the expense of other vital aspects of their being, be it physical, mental, or even spiritual vitality? The notion that the very qualities which allow them to resist the forces of death might concurrently erode other facets of their existence adds a layer of tragic irony to their legend. This line of inquiry opens up further debates about the balance between sacrifice and survival, inviting comparisons to ancient myths where great power always came with significant burdens. The role of external influences in shaping their legendary toughness also continues to spark debate. A faction of theorists has proposed that cosmic phenomena, perhaps linked to celestial alignments or the flux of arcane energies, play a decisive role in reinforcing their resilience. In this scenario, their ability to endure is not solely an inherent trait, but a dynamic attribute that fluctuates with the broader rhythms of the universe. This cosmic perspective invites discussions on whether certain periods or locations might amplify their strengths or expose hidden vulnerabilities. Conversely, skeptics insist that such notions stray too far into the realm of fantasy, arguing that observable biological and environmental factors provide a more plausible explanation. Adding to the complexity are unanswered questions about the interplay between technological advancements and their survival. Some scholars within the community contend that the integration of rudimentary technological enhancements, improvised cybernetic modifications, or experimental bioengineered augmentations could account for some of their uncanny endurance. While there is scant direct evidence to support the idea of deliberate technological intervention, the possibility that their bodies have been subtly altered by exposure to experimental methodologies or arcane artifacts remains an enticing area of speculation. This perspective not only challenges conventional wisdom, but also raises ethical considerations about the nature of enhancement and the limits of organic resilience. Furthermore, debates persist over the threshold that separates survival from oblivion in the context of these warriors. What does it truly mean to be too tough to die when every act of recuperation potentially brings with it long-term consequences that are not immediately apparent? This question has led to a variety of theories concerning the cumulative effects of constant regeneration. Some argue that each instance of recovery might, in fact, accelerate a slow decay process, hinting at an inevitable endpoint despite repeated resurrections. Others maintain that such damage is offset by an intrinsic capacity for renewal that defies conventional aging and decay. The dichotomy between an immortal legacy and the hidden costs of repeated survival continues to be a focal point of intense discussion, ensuring that this subject remains as much a philosophical inquiry as a matter of physical prowess. Collectively, these unresolved issues form a mosaic of inquiry that captivates the imagination of the community. From the possibility of a latent regenerative mechanism fueled by unknown energies, through the psychological and possibly metaphysical reinforcement of their will to the ethical and existential costs of their survival, every theory contributes a unique piece to the puzzle. The allure of these open-ended questions lies in their ability to provoke thought and debate, inviting fans to continuously re-examine and reinterpret the nature of endurance and the very concept of life in a universe where the line between life and death is perpetually blurred. The enduring legacy of these formidable warriors extends far beyond immediate battles, casting a long shadow over the evolution of warfare and the cultural fabric of the universe. Over time, the notion that some fighters are nearly impervious to death will likely reshape political alliances, military doctrines, and even social values. Observers predict that as the legend of their relentless survivability becomes further entrenched, rival factions may adopt hybrid strategies to counterbalance their indomitable presence. In doing so, the competitive landscape of power could become more volatile as traditional forces are forced to adapt, innovate, or risk obsolescence. This shift in strategic paradigms may ultimately result in a realignment of influence across multiple systems, where the capacity for revival and regeneration is seen as a cornerstone of enduring power. Looking ahead, one potential outcome is that the reputation for unyielding resistance could spur an arms race of innovation among opposing forces. In a universe where resilience is valued above all, research into countermeasures and alternative tactics may lead to breakthroughs in defensive technologies, psychological warfare, and even bioengineering. Such advancements might enable traditional armies to mitigate or even neutralize the advantage held by those who seem impervious to death. This pursuit of new strategies is likely to ripple across sectors, driving both scientific inquiry and military investment into uncharted territories. The resulting technological and tactical progress could foster an environment where the balance between offense and defense is constantly renegotiated, with long-term implications for the stability of entire regions. Conversely, the myth of near immortality may also engender a sense of fatalism among the broader populace. Societies that have long endured the ravages of endless conflict might come to view the relentless survival of these warriors as both a beacon of hope and a harbinger of perpetual strife. This duality can lead to deep societal divisions as communities debate whether the enduring nature of these combatants represents an admirable commitment to resilience or a curse that condemns the universe to ceaseless warfare. Over time, cultural narratives may evolve, painting these figures either as ultimate defenders whose resistance ensures the continuity of life, or as symbols of an unending cycle of violence that stifles progress. The lasting impact on social identity and moral philosophy could thus be profound, influencing art, literature, and political ideology for generations. In the realm of governance and law, the long-term influence of such relentless forces may prompt significant institutional changes. Leaders and policymakers might be compelled to reconsider the role of honor and sacrifice in statecraft, weighing the costs of an enduring martial culture against the benefits of stability and progress. The legal frameworks that govern conflict and restitution could undergo radical revisions, with the recognition that traditional measures of accountability may be insufficient in a world where warriors repeatedly defy death. This could lead to the creation of new doctrines of warfare, where the ability to return from the brink of destruction is both a tactical asset and a moral conundrum. Debates over justice, redemption, and the ethics of survival will likely intensify, prompting a re-evaluation of long-held assumptions about what constitutes a fair and just society. On a cosmic scale, the relentless endurance of these fighters may have unforeseen implications for the fabric of reality itself. As their myth grows, some scholars speculate that their persistent presence could even influence the flow of time and the interplay of cosmic energies. In a universe where extraordinary survival is possible, the boundaries between life and death might blur to the point that conventional understanding of mortality is fundamentally altered. This prospect invites speculative theories about the nature of existence, suggesting that the continuous cycle of injury and regeneration might serve as a catalyst for evolution on both a biological and metaphysical level. Over millennia, such processes could subtly reshape the genetic, cultural, and even spiritual makeup of entire species, leading to the emergence of new forms of life that embody the ultimate expression of endurance. The long-term consequences may also extend into the realm of economic and environmental policy. As the legend of these resilient warriors becomes intertwined with notions of sustainability and endurance, new economic models might emerge that value durability and adaptability. Resources once allocated solely for immediate conflict could be rechanneled into long-term research, infrastructure, and community resilience programs. These shifts might foster a climate where investment in recovery and adaptation becomes as crucial as offensive capability, promoting a broader societal emphasis on the maintenance and regeneration of both physical and social capital. The interplay between military might and civil resilience will likely drive policy innovations that resonate well beyond the battlefield. Ultimately, the enduring mythos of fighters who seem impervious to the ravages of death will leave an indelible mark on the universe. Whether this influence proves beneficial or detrimental depends on how societies, militaries, and institutions choose to integrate and respond to this paradigm. If embraced with a balanced approach that leverages their strengths while addressing the moral and practical dilemmas they pose, the result could be a more dynamic, innovative, and adaptable civilization. However, if the allure of endless survival leads to unchecked militarism and an acceptance of perpetual conflict, the universe may spiral into an era of stagnation and ceaseless strife. In either case, the legacy of these warriors will continue to spark debate, inspire transformative change, and challenge the very notions of what it means to live, fight, and ultimately endure.